we'll try to get into something that's, well, we're not really looking for controversy as such, but we're looking to have a conversation between people that have been studying, been looking at things, and there's a number of different people in the room. I've noticed Lady Crown is there. Would you like to speak, Lady Crown?
You there?
Yes.
Kia ora.
We're here.
I'm just going to try and talk because I'm just with family at the moment, but so I've quietly stepped into the Zoom.
Yes.
Thank you, Crown, who I know very well in New Zealand, for all the work that he's done. Kia ora to his mahi, because a lot of what he's shown is pono, it's true. So going with what he has shared with the Maori community, it is true. He has researched very hard through all the legislation and all the acts, and what he's come to learn is exactly what he's speaking of. So gratitude and honour to Crown. Moving forward, I'm actually based in Australia, and sorry, I'm walking at the same time. And I have, along with other sovereigns around the world, set up the Purple Thumb community. So we've gone to the next step, and we have got the life claims and the domicile claim and the sea pass. So we're actually activating for people all across the world, not just Australia, not just New Zealand. We actually are the creators. We don't hold on to the copy claims. We aren't on the copy claim. So we're really, at the end of the day, the administrators, and we're working with quantum grammar, correct sentence structure, passe syntax grammar. So it was about the grammar that got us in trouble. So we don't use words that are negative, and it's very much in line with the manual of styles. So it is quite intelligent language, but we've kept it very simple in the live claim, which is just 2 pages, as well as a domicile claim as well. We also have the sea pass, and we have used the United Tribes flag, but we've had to rename it, which we can in the quantum construct, to Kote Tanga flag, because certain words actually become negative and void the whole document. So we've had to correct certain words that we use throughout our documents, and it's all in a quantum construct. So everyone that comes through the post office, the general post office of these charters, otherwise known as nations, embassies, they're coming through the post office, getting their live claims, standing firmly on the land as a live claimant, which clearly outlines who the twins are, the placenta and the live claimant. So we set that up around 2 months ago. Andy Devine, Ramawa D, Hawaii Tirangi in Aotearoa, and we are rolling out across the world the live claims. So,
Lady Crown, you're doing this in conjunction with Russell J. Gould?
So I had a conversation with Russell J. Gould, and gratitude to him for what he has done, but it doesn't fit for what we are doing for our construct, because Russell takes claim and copyright of the live claims, whereas we won't do that to the people.
Yeah.
It's just not in our construct to take,
now,
to actually trespass on anyone's vessel.
Now, as far as the language is concerned, are you trying to stick exactly to the correct sentence structure, or have you sort of modified that?
No, correct. To the correct sentence structure using passe and syntax grammar.
Okay, because I've been looking at a number of things that have come out, and they're not. I'm a judge. I'm a plenipotentiary judge, appointed by David Wynne Miller and Monty Edward Mueller.
Yeah,
and just looking at the structure of the language, it still needs some work. But the other thing is with the language, is that there always must be a meeting of the minds with contracts. And for a meeting of the minds, both parties have to have full comprehension of the language that's being used. And at the moment, that's sort of the issue. It's like making a claim in a language that other people can't understand. It means that your claim can't be challenged because the other people can't participate with that language. You follow what I mean?
So it's our role to give full closure with the live claim or domicile claim. So as part of the claim, we give full closure on the meaning of the claim, the wording, the structure. And as someone that has worked with David Miller, Russell J. Gould, we work with Jason Matthew Glass. He's a tutor, worldwide tutor. I think he's the only tutor actually in the world. And he is the one that we work with regards to the documents to be correct. And it's a lot of work. It's not just a 5-minute document.
I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot,
it's a lot of work.
Yes,
Yeah, and we've critiqued it, and we have it down to a very standard. It's strict. The document is locked once we actually get it to that point.
Okay, now,
and we give.
Now, just as I say, I'm a judge of the language, and from what I've seen so far, it's not correct. And I'm prepared, like if you can put a document up for me at some point, I can syntax it. I can syntax it for you and show you where, but it's a strict format that goes with the language, and you would know that position, lodial, fact. Yeah, it's probably a bit hard to get into in front of everybody here, but I'm happy to look at your documents as well. And we had conversation prior. I spoke with Andy, and there were some changes made after I spoke with him. But what I'm looking at is that I will never let go of the correct sentence structure, okay? Because legalese is definitely just lies, left, right and centre, and we need to be able to have contracts in now time for a positive performance. That's definitely what we need. So I think as part of the solution when we get out of the mire that we're in, it's to create a different form of communication that is for a positive performance. Instead of saying, you shall not do this and you won't do that and you won't do the other thing, tell us what we will do, tell us what we can do, but not will, because we need to be doing it now. And that's where we need contracts. When you read a contract, it's current now. So the concept that you're doing is right up my alley, if you like, as far as I think it's the road that we should be pursuing. But at the moment, we're in the belly of the beast, like right now, and we've got to cut our way out. So, do you have anything to contribute there, Crown, as far as what Lady Crown has been saying so far?
Okay, yeah. For myself, using the statute, the dead thing, the statute can only be moved by statute. So we're operating within the law and not being outside of the law. I looked at the syntax stuff when David Miller came over and others were using it in New Zealand. It has its, I like the concept. It'd be a good concept for banking, but not to disqualify the fiction, because at the end of the day, for myself, all the fiction and the fraud is under Crown copyright, so the Crown owns it anyway. So I'm not going into conflict with what's already there, working within it, and then, well, the syntax has got banking potential.
Yeah,
not to disqualify the fiction, but utilize it for a different purpose.
So what we're saying at the moment, because of what you've been able to uncover, is instead of being subject to the legislation, we're actually taking ownership of it in our rightful position as Crown.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Now, would it be correct to say that once we have the numbers, that it's possible that we'd be looking to change that system and to change the language that's there to make it more honest, if you like. That's an opinion, but to make it like for now time contracts and for positive performance, do you want to change it more in that way? And maybe not to be exactly correct sentence structure.
Well, the whole purpose for the Book of the Dead to exist, creating government, is through a deceased person, which brings in the whole public and the politic and the body corporate and all that fiction, is because of that deceased person. And that whole system only exists because of that deceased person under administration, as an executor, as a trustee, as a beneficiary even. The beneficiary is still the deceased person. So until the living stands up, that Crown entity representing administrating the dead will exist. So all the legislation that they've created is for that whole purpose. So once the living stands up, the living Crown stands up, all of that would just dissolve.
Yep.
It'll be redundant. Won't exist anymore. That's the only reason why local government, all that enforcement agency and all that exists is because they're administrating deceased persons.
Yeah. So what we really need to do is to have the people see that the king's wearing no clothes.
Yes, exactly. And don't get fooled by those styles and titles like his or her, majesty, king or queen, are all part of the fiction.
Yeah. So what we've got an elaborate story that's been created so that it puts our mind in a different place. So when we think of Crown, the first thing most people probably get is a picture of Queen Elizabeth, something like that. Whereas that's not what we're talking about. And we're not saying, no, I'll be walking around with a gold crown on my head. It's not about that.
No, we already got one, see?
Yes. Yeah.
And you can go like this.
Yours is a little clearer than mine. I can see through there.
We're all born with one crown fits all, people.
Now, if I may, Lady Crown, because you're good enough to contribute, can I ask you, as far as the situation in at the moment, do you have any options as far as providing relief for people from the directives that are being imposed on us?
You there?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just with family, so I'm in and out really quickly.
Yeah, that's all right.
You're correct in what you were saying before, and we're happy to work with you and come in with the team.
Yeah.
What was your question?
Okay. I just with this current situation we have, where people are being subjected to draconian directives, it's not even legislation. So not only is it not lawful, it's not even legal, and it's just a directive. Do you have any solutions available to people to relieve that pressure, and to not have to succumb to the directives that are being thrust upon them?
So there's a couple of things I've done. We have the C-Pass, which is the accommodation party, which is what created that license, which belongs to the government.
Could you explain to people what the C-Pass is?
Well, it's for the live sovereign to move across the land. So I've moved with other documentations, but we now have a C-Pass that we have put together with correct sentence structure.
Yes.
Quantum grammar mechanics. It's just a card, and you can walk with both the license and the card, if you know what I mean, because the fiction will still misbehave. So we've got to be smart in how we walk. We also use the claim of right, and we also use a courtesy notice, and it's in their language so that they understand. It's no good trying to talk quantum grammar on the side of the road.
Correct.
So we just give them the information that they're used to. So they're just tools. They're tools in your toolbox. We actually give that to everybody that applies for it through the Purple Thumb community website.
And you would find, Lady Crown, you would find too that you can have all the paperwork you want, but if you don't know who you are and you don't know what you're not, the paperwork doesn't save you, does it?
That's correct. So it's about learning how to walk and talk with the information, which is also what we give full closure on the website, what to say if you're on the side of the road, what to say if they come to your house. There's a claim of right that everyone can use, which I've actually created in May, regards to the vaccinations, and they can actually present it, add it to their, their toolbox.
Yes.
So it's a matter of having a few things in place, and to present that, having your documentation in place, cover it with a live claim. So we've got the dead documentation. They know that stuff, but put a live claim with it. It's been witnessed by 2 witnesses, as you know, and it's just who you are. It's a fact. It's just about walking with it, holding your head up high, with your crown on, and just knowing what to say. And there's certain words that you need to use, and we share that information. Keep it simple.
Yes.
Simple.
I'd like to have a look, because I haven't had a look at your site sort of recently. I've been looking in many different directions at once. But I'd like to have a look further, and I've actually been doing some work with one of the people in our group who's studied the quantum as well, and we've been modifying documents so that we're using more positional phrases, so preposition, article, noun, that sort of thing, changing the format of documents, slowly bringing in this positive performance to things that people are familiar with, like when we're doing a notice to agent, notice to principal and things like that. And we're slowly changing, bringing in morphing the language. So, and I think to a point from what I just heard, you're sort of doing that too.
Yeah, you've got to be smart with how you deal with fiction. Give them what they know, share with them what they know, point at their acts. See, with Maori, they actually are not supposed to sign any contracts, so you can point to those things.
Yeah.
Point to the fact that the Governor-General no longer exists ever since February. Point to the documents.
Yeah, so we've got so much common ground as to why we're doing all these things, and it is important that we get together so that we've got the weight of numbers. We can support each other in actions. What we were trying to do with our group is get to a point where if people have, like the object is to don't go to court, just don't go to a courtroom at all.
Correct.
If people do have to go to a courtroom, it'd be good to have a band of people to go and support them. But we've even had the situation recently where we've had somebody going as a witness for one of our members, and they were arrested for trespassing when they were on the footpath outside the court.
Yeah, we've got to be smart about it. We've got to play smart.
Yeah, well, going to the courthouse to be a witness and getting arrested for trespassing on the footpath, we didn't foresee that.
It's www.purplethumbcommunity.com. Go and have a look. We are open to sharing information so that you can you can deal with the fiction as well as walkers. Stand on the land as a sovereign.
Yeah, and I'd like to acknowledge you too for when I spoke with Andy Devine and I said there was a few things I was concerned about. And not that I'm the be all and end all of it all, right? I'm not trying to say that. But when I said to him why, you made changes within 10 hours of me talking to Andy. And that showed me somebody that was trying to get things correct and that was listening. And I really want to acknowledge you for doing that. And also acknowledge you for coming along here tonight to participate in the conversation. And hopefully we can bring in the wider communities that everybody is connected with to form a common front. And we can have our little differences along the way and how we sort of do it. But we all agree we've all been kidnapped from before we were even born.
Correct.
And we've got to rectify that situation.
So if we can all come together with certain documentation and bind it together and share and keep it simple for the people, that's all we do.
Yep, good on you. Thank you very much.
Steve, can we get that email, that website address? Because I think most people miss that one.
Okay, is it possible, Lady Crown, that you could type that into chat? Because that's the Purple Thumb community, isn't it? I might have muted. No? Yeah.
Correct. It's www.purplethumbcommunity.com.
Yep, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, the other thing too that people to remember is this isn't about joining a club. You can exist on many fronts. Anywhere where there's a conversation amongst people about how we deal with this system, there's a commonality, and you're always going to learn something, or it's going to cement information that you already have because you think, oh no, I don't agree with that because of this fact or that fact. What we've got to try and do is get away from a belief or an opinion, because that's not worth anything. It's got to be based in fact.